Little baby Yeti.
What is it, like a little cup?
Yeah, I got it for like a what was it, like a Christmas,
Merry
like
Christmas.
Yankee swap or whatever they call it.
What?
Do you know what that is?
No. Is it an American?
It's it's a white elephant.
Oh,
Have you heard of-
oh, whoa,
yeah,
whoa.
yeah.
I know that.
Yeah.
Is.
I was seeing the Yankee swap from The Office with Michael Scott. That's fake, but this is real.
Okay.
That's real.
I'm a salute. Okay.
Boom.
You're doing the America parade thing is happening as well, isn't it? It's very
The American parade.
Yeah, you're parading around tanks and shit in DC.
Oh, right. Yes, I am doing that myself. Yes.
Yeah,
I'm calling them in. I'm spending tens of billions of dollars on things.
Oh yeah.
Just me and Tank Dempsey. Origins reference. You know. What if they bring out the? What do they bring out the? Okay, I'm not gonna say that.
They bring out the zombies during the next war machine of America is just Nazi zombies.
My god, dude! Well, like we just create the zombies World War II timeline.
Flip it though. Instead of Germany doing it, it's America now. So
Yeah.
now Dempsey's from Germany, Richtofen's from America. Flip it
Oh my god!
Instead of the Reese's at McDonald's. Let's go.
Wait, that's amazing. Wait. What's Dempsey? Oh, not Dempsey. What's Takio? Is he like French or something?
He's British.
He's British. Oh, okay.
British
What about Nikolai? He has to be like Korean or something.
Yeah. He'll probably be like, South African, maybe Indian.
Ooh, okay,
one of those like smaller countries that are in the war. I think would make sense. Okay, we're cooking. This will be our standalone title, right?
Yes.
GoFundMe.
Yeah.
To pay for it now.
Call of Duty Black Ops. What the hell is this shit?
Call of Duty. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Duty
what
of
is
call.
this? Duty of call.
The duty calls.
The duty calls.
That's our standalone title. We've got it finally.
I know, right? The DC's the COD killer.
Holy. Who would have thought? Who'd have thought Studio Imac 234?
I'm trying to think. Scotty Productions.
I love that. I actually love that, Loki.
All right.
Scotty Productions. Okay. Jesus Christ, we're so off topic.
Okay. So I guess we can start off with, we know that we having another Black Ops game in back-to-back years. First time that has ever happened.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of speculation on, is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Was it planned? Was it not planned? But I think for all of us, like in the zombies community, we can kind of be a little bit excited about the fact that we're getting probably about 12 maps in 24 months, which is completely unprecedented. If you think about it, because the last time we had that was Black Ops 3, basically, when we got 8 maps all at once.
Chronicles.
But they dropped in 2017. But so the tagline is squad up with friends or play solo in a thrilling and innovative co-op campaign. Harness near future weaponry in a signature multiplayer experience packed with brand new maps. Keyword brand new. Keyword.
Mm-hmm.
And it's into the twisted chapter of round-based zombies in the heart of the dark ether. So, Scotty, question for you. Where were you when you heard the news that this trailer dropped?
Well,
you don't have to give specifics.
Funnily enough, Imac, right before I called you, I was doing the SOE strat thing. And I had no idea that it was happening at the moment until I think I was in a call with Sable and he was just like, BO7 just got revealed. I remember seeing it. And then I went online and watched it, and I was like, what? And at I couldn't believe that it was Call of Duty, first off. And like, rethinking about it, I did join your call, and I was like, Imac, BO7 reveal on Twitter. And I got a new SOE strat. More important.
Yes. So, ignoring Scotty's the SOE strat, I was on my couch watching it. And then I'm like, oh yeah, it's over. There's no Black Ops, whatever, it's fine. And then I watched the last trailer, and I didn't I think just like everybody, I didn't know it was a Call of Duty game they were revealing. Because like when you watch the trailer initially, there is nothing there that like screams Call of Duty. And then once Menendez crushes the butterfly and says, Mason, I jump up from my couch and sprint to my monitor and my computer, and I'm like, we're going live right now. Scotty, get in this VC. We're talking about this right now. And then we're all excited and happy. And this man says, "Oh yeah, guys, by the way, I have a new SOE Ovum strat." And I'm just like,
more important.
Thank you, Scotty. Thank you, Scotty, for your just big analysis and your input. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, this is a cool new Call of Duty title, but Morg City just got a new strategy, and that's more important. But seriously though, man, like I think everyone was shocked. I think everyone, like, especially I know this could be a little fun to do for Milo. His reaction was priceless. That reaction.
Oh, his was the best.
Is
easily
pure just shock. Anyone in the chat, if you we did this thing when we rewatched his like VOD, and we saw in the chat feed people's like initial reactions of what they thought this new, they'll call it like a new IP or something, or like a new game. It's like, oh, something new. We haven't seen this before. Oh, this looks cool and really trippy, because you go upside down and all that. And then it was like, oh, this is really cool. Like the feedback, not knowing it was Call of Duty, was really positive. Yeah. And then when it was Call of Duty, everyone was like, what? Wow.
And he thought it was like a Remedy game or something.
Yeah, Remedy. Yeah.
And then, so I think his reaction was so telling on how just different it felt from old COD games, because he was like, oh, it's a Remedy, and he said, oh, I wish this was a COD game. And then sure enough, oh, it is actually a Call of Duty game, which is just it's just awesome. And I think it's great. And from what I've seen and heard from, particularly from Charlie Intel, obviously everyone knows he's the big #1 news source for anything Call of Duty. He said that this is actually planned. Black Ops 6 and Black Ops 7 as back-to-back titles for Call of Duty was a planned idea, planned from the start. Compared to, because remember, everyone knows we had Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3 back-to-back, but obviously those were made by two different studios. Yes. Because it was not Sledgehammer, it was Infinity Ward for Modern Warfare 2. Right, and then they did not make Modern Warfare 3. It was Sledgehammer, right? It was Sledgehammer who made it. Mm-hmm. So like they, two completely different studios. So that, to me, that screams that, oh, this was unplanned. Like, this was not the idea. But Treyarch is making both these games. They are leading on both these games, obviously with the help of Raven with the campaign in Warzone. So that gives me, just as initial thought, a bit more confidence that, oh, this is not just like, we're just kind of throwing stuff at the wall now to get a product out. We've actually planned this. And I think from the trailer, it gave me the confidence that, like, okay, they actually did plan this, because that was like, that was an awesome trailer, but two, it was fully fleshed out and done really well. But Call of Duty always has the best marketing, in my opinion, when it comes to video games. So they always cook. But this is they aura farmed the hell out of that trailer. I can't even lie.
They did. I love that, like, it was very deceptive to like what the actual title and what is actually going to be in the game. Like, so we saw like remnants of the BO3 cyborg kind of things, but we know that like it's not a direct sequel to BO3 on like as like a it's not like 2085 or something whenever BO3 is set. It's like inspired by that, or like taking bits of that and putting it somewhere new. I really like that, because I feel like we're at a point now with Call of Duty where like the next steps aren't just refilling old treaded steps. Like, we can go somewhere completely new, and we have avenues to go there. Like, Menendez is obviously a returning character, but his motivations nowadays are new, and specifically maybe the direction it goes to tie in with the future that was in Black Ops 3. How cool would it be if an advancement on one tweak of the old story, it changes everything, like the butterfly effect, pretty much, the little butterfly that he's Transit, just the butterfly effect, the whole thing. I am very excited, and I'm viewing this as a year 2, not a new game. This is BO6 year 2 to me. This isn't like Cold War Vanguard. No, not at all. This feels very much like like I said, this is BO6 DLC 5, DLC 6, DLC 7 to me.
Yeah.
And I hope I'm right, because if that's the case, they've had how many years to cook on this? Since probably Cold War.
They've had since 2020, right? Yeah. Because Treyarch had to come in and fix up the pieces with the 2020 COD title, and they completely flipped it on its head and made it a Black Ops game, which was not the initial plan, even 8-9 months before the game came out, let alone a pandemic.
Right.
So this is Treyarch's first real crack at back-to-back games, and obviously in first time ever, but also in obviously a 4 to 5 development year cycle. And I think that people were always wondering where did all the post-launch support go for BO6? Well, it went to BO7 a little bit, which is a good and bad thing, obviously, because I think the game in front should always try to take priority. But when you have another game coming out in less than 12 months, probably, then you have to obviously work on that game. So I think that is, that's always a concern for me, is like the devs that have been making stuff for Shattered Veil, and from Zombies for the Shattered Veil, Tomb, Terminus, Citadel, whatever, they are making stuff on this next game. So how were they able to juggle, one, creating a map for the game right now, and then two, obviously, updating that game, and then also creating the next game that's coming out in this year now in about 4 or 5 months or so.
Right. It definitely feels like, I hope it's not more of a cram job, but it definitely feels like, studio doesn't have infinite resources. There's not infinite coders. There's not infinite testers. So there's liberty there. But with the context, I feel like BO6, looking back, great job. Even with the grief we gave for grief, no pun intended, obviously, and the constant updating, I think for the context, especially with the fact that BO7 is coming out and we're gonna have, as they say, what was it? Where's that line? Co-op campaign, new things added on to the original experience that we've already had in BO6, as well as the Dark Ether storyline continuing. It's well done. I don't think we say it enough that BO6 coming off the back of the run of zombies we've had is genuinely it's like the rainbow has come out and we're in this new era. It's great. It's so hopeful.
Yeah, and I think BO7 has been a bit of an easy target because of the whole SAG-AFTRA voice actor strike, the AI bundles, which I don't like those as much as anybody, but obviously I think those decisions kind of come from more up top than from the developers themselves. Just not using AI, just using purely AI content for bundles. Just to be very clear about that. But overall, I think BO6 has been a really good game. I think it has, brought back some good elements from past games, obviously Gums, but just kind of the gameplay I think is pretty good. But yeah, I think I'm excited for BO7. I'm excited to get 12 maps in 24 months. I don't know about that, but honestly, all the BO6 maps have been pretty good, other than probably Tomb, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So if we get that kind of consistency throughout another 12 months, I think it's going to be another great year for zombies.
And speaking of the maps specifically, the quality of BO6 maps have been great. Chronicles, you said earlier, Chronicles was the last time we had this many maps, but they were remakes. They were just flesh out This is new experiences, maybe reimagined experiences here and there with the places we've already been to, but it will be authentically new. And that is exciting. So I asked you this then, Imac. There are rumored maps. Okay. We have a New York City post-nuke drop, a Japanese temple with a volcano ready to erupt, an Afghanistan map, a Vietnam map, so Firebase Z, I would assume, and a Dark Ether space station map. So a bit like Moon, maybe just on a border ship. Which out of those is your favorite, and which is your least favorite, would you say?
I would have to probably go with the Japanese temple with a volcano ready to rub. That sounds like some like potential banger, in-map events happening in a boss fight. So I think that's the one that, if they were to do one, I would want them to do that one. I know one that least excites me would probably be the Vietnam map, probably because of the scarring that Firebase Z gave us all those many years ago. Yeah. So I would say probably I'd say the Vietnam map. Just kind of touching on the others. The post World War II map one would be very interesting. I don't know how post World War II New York City map. Excuse me. I don't know how they would do that because I'm not sure what the timeline is for this game in terms of what year we're in. I think that's not, we haven't got any reports or rumors on that. But I think the Japanese temple for me, and then the Vietnam map. What about you?
I love the idea of the Japanese temple, and I think if I was to put that at the top, it would be. But I love the Dark Ether space station as just a concept because we've only been to space once, and that was Moon, which was on a space station itself. But I would like, okay, I love like having an experience and it being made better. So like a lot of Cold War, I really liked where it was like an experience like Nact, but in a different setting. Like it can be viewed as lazy, but if you do it right, it can be really good, and I really like it. So if they do this Dark Ether space station right with new fun ways of maneuvering the map, new tech, like drills, anything relevant to space, maybe the zombies, like the Moon idea of like everything being different, zero gravity. If they can do that in a way that's engaging enough to me, I think that could be my favorite. That I would love to see an experience like that because it will feel so different. And it might actually change my mind on Moon because I'm a Moon hater. Sorry, Bug of K, but I don't like Moon. And I think I would love to be proven wrong about the idea of zombies being in space. And to pick my least anticipated, probably, if I'm being honest, either the Afghanistan map or the Vietnam map again, like you said, because we've been to Vietnam. It was part of the story, and it was specific on Cold War. That was the campaign mission setting area, which does leave a poor taste in my mouth when I think about Vietnam. But then again, with more development time, more resources, more new ideas, maybe it won't be just so plain and simple. Maybe the Afghanistan map might be a tunnel system, like deeply, his face. Like it's known in Afghanistan that like tunnel systems were used in the early 2000s and that kind of thing. Same in Vietnam. Like there's so much you could do with traps and all that thing. So if they do it the right way, it could be a cool experience, but definitely not my most.
Yeah, just from a concept, purely a concept perspective, like those can make good war stories, like campaign missions. I'm not sure about zombies, in my opinion. I think that the Dark Ether Space Station one does really entice me as well because whenever I think of like horror thriller space stations, I'm instantly thinking of like the Alien games.
Yeah, I do too. Like, that's what I'm picturing in my head.
I don't like scary stuff, but I decided to watch them because I couldn't play them just because when I was like, I can't play them just because I don't like scary stuff. But I watched them, and just the kind of like thriller aspect of those games is so good. I mean, whenever I hear like, oh, we're going to space, like you can just kind of the emptiness of space. If you can create that kind of atmosphere, then that instantly makes it a great experience. And I think Moon did a good job of that, particularly BO3's. Moon did a really good job of that. But obviously, the RNG aside, the map itself was very good, and I did like the idea of the loneliness in space. But I think, and then another two maps that are, I wouldn't say rumored, but actually probably might happen is that Mob of the Dead remake in Transit. Because if you go back to the trailer, there is a little section where there's like the prison. There's a prison part, and then it's like a blue lighting around it. And then obviously at the end of the trailer, you see the lights turn on to a certain vehicle of who knows what it is, and the zombies turn to it and start throwing their flesh at it. But I want to get your take on potential one, potential remakes for Mob and Transit, and another rumor that the old crew might be returning, the old Primis crew.
Well, I'm all for Primis returning. I think I don't like. I mean, I'm not one of these people. I think where it's like, oh, you're gonna sully the storyline from BO4 and BO3 if you bring them back. I think with enough like thought, you can keep them separate. Like Samantha, for example, like in Cold War, was done perfectly as like a new reimagined character. She never really had. She was massive in the storyline, but her impact was just like she was like just a figure that like the zombies were following. She didn't really have like a personality or like. Besides, she was a child, like most of it. So now that she's grown up, she can be more fleshed out, more, more of an actual person that you can like, relate to, but like you can follow and be like, oh, I see their motive. I see why they're doing it. With Primis, we've had that. Granted, with is it Ultimus? Sorry, Ultimus. They were more stereotypes of the nations that they were from, but that was because of the experiments. But Primis, they get really deep with their thoughts. And I think if we keep that separate in our minds and allow this new reimagined version of Primis to exist and not compare them, which the zombies community loves to do, compare and compare, I think it could be special. So I'm all for it. I'm all for the cast returning. I would love for them to come back. I would love to play as Takio. I would love to play as Richtofen and get, the authentic feel. I would wonder how they're going to incorporate the voice actors again, because if I'm not mistaken, isn't the Takio voice actor, like, isn't he passed away a couple years ago?
So Tom Kane, he did not pass away, but he unfortunately had a stroke and he had to retire from voice acting. Yeah. So he will not be, like, if they bring back the crew, he will not be in the game. Just straight will not be in the game. And so then there's rumors that maybe. What if Nolan North does the character who voices Richtofen? There's been talks about that. That would be very interesting because that'd be someone who's obviously very close to the character, even though he didn't voice the character himself. So that would be very interesting to see if they bring the crew back. Would Takio be like a silent soldier in honor of Tom Kane, or would they have somebody else voice act them? So that I think it's kind of that's a bit of a slippery slope for me because I think that Tom Kane, if no one knows, he's also the voice of so many other iconic characters, and just look him up. He's just in everything you can think of when it comes to voice acting. So I think you just have to be kind of, I guess, careful on how they would bring the characters back, with the thought that Tom Kane will 100% not be in the game regardless of anything, basically.
Yeah. I think that I don't like the idea of the silent protagonist or like the silent like kind of person around you. I feel like we're at a point with our characters that like they need their personality and their niche and their itch. And I can't really speak on voice acting, so I've never done it before, but I could imagine if you've played a character for so long, like what, 10 plus years, and you've made this character your own thing. It'd be very hard for someone to keep that going, like to capture that same personality. But I think if anyone can do it, Nolan North, perfect to do it. Closest to him, I would definitely be okay with that. As long as I feel like I can't really tell a difference. If I'm playing and I'm like, it's not Takio, I hate it, As long as like I don't have that gut feeling, I'm all right with it. Like I'm okay with it. And
I think regardless of what happens, you're going to have that gut feeling because it's not going to be Tom Kane. No matter how much of it is of a one-to-one it is,
you're right.
You're not going to feel the same. Because it's so funny that the Peck voice actor, the one in Cold War, did not return for Black Ops 6. And the person who did it for Black Ops 6, it was so good, I did not realize it was a different voice actor. And then once I found out it was a different voice actor, then it kind of ruined it a bit because I was like, "Oh, damn!"
I was the same, dude. Genuinely, I mean, I was in the same boat as you with that.
Yeah, so I think it'll just be interesting. But when it comes to Transit and Mob, I think the Mob of the Dead remake rumors really come from the trailer itself. I would be surprised if they would remaster Mob because we've already had Blood of the Dead as like a reimagining about 6 years ago or 7 years ago at this point. I don't think it's a very appropriate time to bring back that map. Now, when it comes to Transit, I think Transit personally is one of the 3 worst maps in Call of Duty history, just purely because of the fog and the denizens for me, because it feels like there's so much to discover, yet you're just so capped. One, because of obviously when you're making that big of a map on the 360, there's limitations to field of view, what you can and can't see, and I think the game would be ugly if the fog and denizens weren't there, just kind of slow you down a bit, so the game can just physically load the assets on the console.
Yes.
But I think now, like I've always said, that if you can make Transit but without the fog, can actually be a really good map in my opinion. Like it can actually be a really good map. Going to be a good potential Outbreak map as well, and just a good round-based zombies map as well. Which that would be the only remake that would excite me out of those two, personally.
Transit deserves another chance of being what it was envisioned to be. Like, it was ambitious on launch for when BO2 came out, and for that reason, they realized that they bitten off too much they could chew, and they had to limit the scope. Which, with modern game technology, I very much think that a reimagined Transit, not like even modders like remade Transit in their own cool way, and that I played that map, I speedran that map. That was amazing. That was great. Is it Ve Victus? I think I can't remember the exact name, but I remember playing that and being like, imagine Transit gets a remake like this, and I'd be like, that would be perfect, And with as obviously with the engine, it's very possible, and it's the most appropriate out of any, I think, COD map to be remade. And how they tie it with the story, I could not tell you, but I am very excited if that is the bus and Ted is in that bus and we're gonna play with that bus involved. It might not even be Transit-esque, but the bus might return and maybe Transit elements. I think they need to touch on Transit again. Like,
I would agree.
And Mob again, I share the same sentiment. We've seen Blood. Blood was very hit and miss on launch, but I think people have grown to appreciate it for how it is and how good it is at the minute. So I feel like another Mob would be just kind of redundant. Like, it'd be like, which is your favorite Nact? They're all kind of the same. Like,
that's a good point.
It'd be like, oh, Nact BO3 is my favorite. Which is your favorite? Like, Cold War is the best one. It's like, yeah, they're all kind of just the flare's off. Once you do it once, you can't really do it again.
Yeah,
that's what I think.
I think I agree. I think it's all gonna be in the dark ether maybe as well. So maybe that's how they think, oh, it's returning because it's a dark ether version of Mob.
Twisted.
It's a dark ether version.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. But I'm like, Mob of the Dead's already twisted as it is.
Yeah,
that's already twisted.
Yeah.
You don't keep twisting. It's gonna be it's gonna be way too much. Yeah, I don't know how you twist it. You might twist out of control a little bit.
That could be. That could make for a good map, though. Just pure chaos in the prison. Maybe both maps are Transit Mob. Imagine you have the bus going around the prison instead of it being 2 maps. It's just one.
Okay, so I will say I've been to Alcatraz myself. You're not putting a big ass bus in the middle of Alcatraz. It's big, but it's not that big. All right, let's slow our roll here. Let's slow our roll.
As well. You could become a B2 fighter bomber.
Oh, okay. So we're gonna have a plane going around, not going into the Golden Gate Bridge. It's gonna go around. You can shoot. It's the chopper gunner is what you're saying.
Pretty much.
We're just gonna have the chopper. Okay.
But like the Battlefield 1 flying, where you can like go and shoot like that.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay, so we're just gonna have all these vehicles, no weapons, just vehicles, right?
yeah. Pretty much.
Punch them away. Yeah. But I think it's so fun. I think with Mob, I don't think it deserves a remake, because then at that point they're going to return a lot of other maps. Because I think once you do 2, and then it's consistent, we're like, oh yeah, we are remaking and reimagining maps for this game, and I don't really want that, to be honest. And I think with the rumor maps we talked about earlier, that it won't be all remaster maps. It can all be different stuff. But I think one remaster is just a one-off thing. 2 is turning into a trend for me, because like once in Black Ops 4, when they had what Blood and then Classified off launch. To me, then I'm like, okay, so this is going to be a reimagining like game basically, and then sure enough, for the Ether side, it was. So I think if I was going to pick between Mob and Transit, I would definitely say give you Transit, just because I think that map deserves its time in the sun again. And I think with Mob, you can probably wait another couple years if you want to do a remake. Just like when I think the same like Origins, for example. Like I don't think you should do another Origins remake for at least another 2 or 3 years at minimum.
I don't think you even touch them again, man. I think
yeah.
I don't think you can make them better. Genuinely. Blood was a very good foot forward to make it better, more expansive, and more things to do. I don't think if you can only make it worse at this point. Like, I am all for trying to top what you've done, but no.
Yeah.
No, just let it
be. But then with Transit also returning, you know, it's such a big map, and I mentioned earlier, is Outbreak returning? Is it not returning? We've heard different types of rumors where there was because of the Call of Duty HQ. I'm not a big fan of Call of Duty HQ, but you can get a lot of leaks from it.
Right.
Outbreak potentially returning in Black Ops 7, and then apparently there's another rumor that said no, it's actually not returning. It might have gotten cut very late in the process. So I know. So it's a little backstory for everybody that's new to this podcast and you know doesn't know me and Sky that well. He and I bonded so much over Cold War Outbreak. We played it for hours on end. That's where our friendship was made about 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So without Outbreak, me and Scotty aren't best of friends, which is crazy to say because everyone hates that game mode. Everyone hates it, but me and Scotty are the only like. Me and 2 other people are like jumping up and down for an Outbreak, Outbreak potentially returning. So, you know, I would love to see Outbreak return if it doesn't replace DLC round based maps. Once it starts cutting into the round based zombies maps, then I'm like I don't want it because I remember Cold War having Outbreak for about 3 or 4 months was a bit too long, and the game got really stale really fast because you had the Machine, Firebase C, and Outbreak on multiplayer maps. So that's the concern for me with Outbreak returning, is that would it just outright replace the DLC? And if it's yes, I'm going to say, okay, we unfortunately, Scotty, probably, in my opinion, should not return.
I like with Cold War, they touched it with the direction they wanted to go. You could see it was there. Like they only touched a little bit on what it should have been in my eyes. Like Vanguard went completely backwards on objective base for some reason, but like Cold War's like version of it is what it should be, but maybe more expansive, maybe on a bigger map to a bigger scale with different objectives and like, you know, more like MWZ. Like an MWZ, if that wasn't the whole game like it was, I would think that would be very well received because it's just a different experience. That's what attracted me to Cold War's Outbreak was, you know, round 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 is all good and all, but when you do it 10 million times, you're kind of like not really that bothered by it. But then the beauty of Outbreak was you start, do an objective to your right, you know, do another objective in front of you. You can just walk around, collect essence at your own pace, do what you want, get your perks however you want to. You could stay on round 1 the entire game if you really wanted to, like, and just chill. I loved that. Like when I was grinding camos, I would just play good around 1 and just sit at the objective and just play. And that experience kept Cold War for me fresh. And I played Cold War probably triple the amount I would have ever played it with Outbreak, you know? And I can only imagine like that experience for me is probably shared by a lot of people that don't really speak about it. Like a lot of people never tried Outbreak, and that's the reason why they don't like it. Like I believe that if you give it enough try, you could at least appreciate how different it is and maybe, you know, play it every now and then. That's perfect. And this game kind of needs that refreshing feeling. I feel like if BO7 had an Outbreak just on the side that is like, hey, you know, it's not replacing DLC. It's just going to chill here. You don't have to play it now, but You know, whenever you want to load up, as long as with DLC 1, 2, and 3, and 4, you know, this is an amazing experience. You should play it. And I would love that. And I was hoping that was the case. But with the rumor that they cut it, it makes sense. I think having Transit be this big, grandiose kind of alleged thing, it kind of is the same as Outbreak in that sense, where it's like big map, going around doing its own thing. I feel like it would take away from Transit if you had an Outbreak. So I get it.
Yeah, it could.
I'm upset.
I don't know how they would. Yeah,
it is what it is. I accept it, I guess.
Yeah, and I think it'd be interesting how they would if they were 100% going to have Outbreak. How would they weave it in? Because to me, it's like I don't want it on another multiplayer map. It needs to be on a zombies experience. And then I feel like that if you're just going to have it's just going to be on Transit one map, then is it going to be an MWZ type experience? And I think with MWZ the turnoff for me was the timer on each game. And I know you could extend it when it comes to like doing Easter eggs and everything, but just the base experience being like, oh, you have 45, 60 minutes in this game, and then you have to leave. It's done. Like, and I did not like that. And so it's like, is that what Outbreak Transit would be, or would it be like a Cold War where you finish one objective, okay, now another pops up, and they're like, oh, here's the defense objective, now the escort's on the other side of the map. Yeah. Or would you have to, you know, like Outbreak Cold War, would you go through a portal, go to another map? I think it was easy to do it in Outbreak because they had those Dirty Bomb Strike Team maps that were pretty good size, but also they weren't like super expansive other than Duga. Our least favorite map. Our least favorite map.
Don't remind me.
Oh my god. But I think in this game, I don't think it just doesn't scream like it's gonna fit. But again, when it comes to multiplayer, we don't know what they're gonna have in terms of game modes and whatnot. So maybe they could bring it back on those maps, but you know, it just kind of comes down to dev time and what I'd rather see. And I'd rather see a Japanese temple with a volcano getting ready to erupt than seeing Duga defense again. Yeah. So just calling that out right now.
It's all resources at the end of the day, and if they're not, you know, they have to weigh up the pros and cons. If only 5% of the player base will give it a try, and maybe not even 3 of those would return, what's the point when you could just focus on the maps that you know people will play? It's like, it's a hard pill to swallow, but like innovation kind of is not really frowned upon. Like you can innovate, I feel like, in the zombies like space, but if you stray too far into one direction and it isn't just the classic vibe, you've lost a lot of people. Which is
unfortunate.
It's not the fault of anyone's, like, you know, people like what they like, and obviously if you come to zombies, you expect a zombies-esque experience. You're not coming to play, Titanfall, or, you know, you're not going to play a Dying Light, for example. You want COD zombies that in the very similar way that they've always been, and you want to be able to play rounds because that's like the objective that it's always been. So straying away from that is a risk. They don't need to take a risk with this game. I think BO6 was so successful that you could just keep doing the same thing, making it better and improving on that formula, and you'll probably have everyone back by 2027. I think 2027, you know, that COD could be a good release if this 2025 one goes well. You know?
But the one thing they need to do before we talk about updates to grief, do not, and I mean do not, drip feed us old content from Cold War and BO6. No, I am done with the drip feeding. If I come into BO7 and I see Melee Macchiato dropping in Season 2 Reloaded, I am going to be very upset, and I will make it known that I'm very upset. And if anyone's upset with me being upset, I'm just going to get more upset, because I think it's ridiculous that, because that's the one big knock for BO6 to me, is like they have all these good ammo mods, these perks, and then just like, oh, we'll put them in the game for Season 4, 5, 6 Reloaded. I'd rather those just be in the start and just only have like maybe 2 new perks, maybe overall. Like what they should have done personally for BO6 is like, what you put in Cold War, those perks are gonna be in BO6, and then Melee Macchiato should have been the DLC perk, because Macchiato is not useless on Terminus. It's amazing on Citadel. Yeah. So like I don't know why they put Macchiato on Terminus. That could have been an easy DLC perk for them. And same with Shatterblast. Like Shatterblast has been in the game for about a month now, and it's still, but you still can't actually select it as an ammo mod in the upgrade machine because it's in this event that's been delayed like 3 times already. This Rivals event. But I'm just like, why are we being drip fed content that we've had before?
It's an illusion, dude. That's what it is.
Yeah, it's the illusion of content, and I hate. That's the one thing I hate about new zombies right now is just this drip feeding of this new content, and there's just zero hype around it because it's like, oh yeah, we've had this in another game twice, and it's just like, what's the point of it coming back when it should have just been in the game at launch?
It's all about prolonging the life cycle of the game. I feel like a lot of the additions, like the perk augments were, and minor and major augments were perfect, but you have that, and then you also then just have Frostblast come back, and it's like, why isn't that in the game?
Why isn't that in the game at launch?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Then it kind of like, it's just one of those things that they could just post about and get you back into the game. And a lot of the new guns have been treated like that, where it's like, hey, here's this OP new thing that's going to make you kind of have to come back now to unlock this new gun. And then after 2 weeks, we'll nerf it. And then it'll be like, we've caught our player base back again. So then they'll be ready for the next DLC map, which I know we didn't talk about this with the BO6 launch, but we're not even finished. Not BO6 or BO7. We're not even finished with BO6. We still have a DLC that we don't really know anything about. Yeah, and we have BO7 kind of called upon us before BO6, which I don't know if that's like kind of a warning sign. I don't know if we want to segue into what we're concerned about with BO7, because I would feel that, to me, the difference in like how you would market, or how I would market BO7 would be, have BO6 finished now. BO6 should be done by now. Like, we should have had our final DLC around summertime. And then for this summer games thing that there was, BO7 was revealed, like, teased in and then revealed. It's a perfect segue. You've had the high end of BO6. A great year for Call of Duty. We can remember it fondly. And we have now the prospect of something even better on the horizon. The hype would be insane. And it feels messy now. It's like, well, I've got to come back to BO6, but I'm hyped for BO7. So therefore, my care for BO6 final map is kind of not there when I'm seeing Menendez in a cutscene that's getting me more hyped about BO7. It's like, for me, I'm just sat here like, I just want to skip to November or October and just play the new game, which has kind of sullied my feeling of the final map on BO6, because up until this moment, I've just been hyped for the final map. But now it's like, I'm hyped for BO7.
Yeah, I think it's more of a marketing thing, because they have to, I think from a marketing perspective, you have to show that, okay, zombies is definitely in the game. So because if you had multiplayer stuff and then you didn't show off zombies in the BO7, the BO7 trailer, there would be like some weird doubt, like, oh, is there going to be zombies in this game, or is it not going to be? There would be, but I think that you have to kind of tease that, okay, zombies is coming back. But I think in these next about 3 months will be interesting to see how they handle it, with one, showing us gameplay of zombies in the new game, but then also releasing that last map. Because to me, how it should work is that you have, let's say the next map comes out in Season 5, for example, so in about a month or so, a month and a half. And then at that point, 2 weeks go by, let's say, okay, now we're dropping the zombies trailer in 2 weeks. I think that would be the good segue into the next game.
Of course.
But I agree with you. Like, if they drop the map in, like, let's say now or early July, then we would be okay with not having a map for 3 months. Obviously, we'd be okay with not having a map for 3 months, because we'd see all this, great gameplay stuff with a new game plus a new map coming in October or early November. Yeah. And so that would satiate us for that time without having a map for 3 months. So I agree with you on your perspective, but they also have to confirm that zombies is in the game, just in some very 2-second clip of it in the trailer. But no, I get it though. Understandable.
I would just have liked, I think, the ordering of it to be neater, because I feel like it feels like obviously BO6's final map has been delayed. Like, they haven't really said it's delayed, but following the month like we've had with a game and then a map and how it's kind of followed with the seasons, we've missed out on a season, which to me says we're not ready to drop it yet.
Or maybe they just want to focus on Grief this season.
Well, there you go. Could be two reasons for it, but Grief is like put in as like, it's like not like a starter to like a main course, but like it's like when the waiter comes and brings you more like drinks to be like just to keep you here and not wanting to leave. That's how Grief feels like. And that's great and all, but now we're getting into the prospect of the next game, and we haven't even finished our previous title. And to me, I'm sat here thinking, this can't be good. Like, it feels like there's something underneath the waves that isn't being like brought to the surface. Like, which isn't exactly like a great thing to say, because it could just be like, oh, we just didn't really think about it. Like, that could, the end of the day, right? BO6 might have just been delayed by like a couple weeks because Grief was just not that, Grief had a lot of bugs and they couldn't release it. Or maybe Treyarch would just like, hang on, what if you released it with season 6 or season, whatever season is next, and just do it like that? And they're like, fine. But just feels less planned, less polished. And I would like to hold BO6 and Treyarch to a higher standard. I feel like it has been at a high standard this whole time. And I feel like when it drops, like Grief was like a good example of that, where it's like, soon as like you tear through a little bit of like depth into the game mode, there's nothing there. So that standard is just kind of slipped, and then it slipped again for me. And I'm just kind of sat here thinking, is this a downward trend, or is it more so just like a hiccup? And I hope it's a hiccup. I hope BO7 is just going to bring us right back to where we were, which it should.
Yeah, I think it's just a hiccup, or if anything, it was I will say, I think it was more planned, in my opinion, just because I think if you dropped the last map in, let's say, like, it would have been late May,
right?
That is a very long time in between maps. It's about 5 months in between maps at that point. I don't know if that would have been the best idea, in my opinion, but I think if you're giving Grief its own time in the sun just for a little short time period, it's fine.
Yeah.
But obviously the way Grief came out it felt very unfinished, kind of very, very basic and everything. But they've made some updates to make it a bit better.
They have changed it, and I've been eager to talk about this.
Yes, but there's still a bit more they need to add to the game mode to make it a bit more in depth to what its potential could be.
And you've been on that grind, Imac. On your stream, I've seen you've been racking up those wins.
I'm gonna be a Grief goat.
You've been 4v4ing other big squads, like big teams within the community, playing against them. I bet you that's a nice experience to play against people that you know and like kind of look at as like other creators. Like, that's probably cool. So
yeah,
how do you feel that Grief has grown on you in these like little month or so that it's been around?
I think they've made a couple updates which made it a bit better. They made the zombies' health a bit more beefy, or the zombies' damage, excuse me. And so you do feel them hitting you a bit harder. It feels more like a Garage Crovey zombie compared to a Horizon Drop zombie now, in my opinion. Kind of a weird comparison, but that's how I feel. The zombies definitely hit harder. The gums aren't as impactful as they used to be, just because they've changed the timer on the gum machine to be 5 minutes instead of 10 seconds. The salvage rate has been decreased from 100 to 50. So I think the game mode itself, just the gameplay, is in a much better state than it was at launch. The game doesn't feel broken. Melee doesn't feel broken anymore. It feels like you can actually have a chance, regardless of your 1v4 or 4v4. So I think it's in a good state, but I'm still in the idea that they could have added more areas, especially in Citadel. Citadel only has one area for Grief. They could have done spawn and the actual castle itself, for example. I think they could have added a bit more sections, added a bit more when it comes to the actual Griefs themselves, like maybe like an extra actual Grief. We discussed that in the previous episode. But I think the gameplay portion of it is in a good state. They just need to add more on the other side when it comes to map selections and the actual Griefs and objectives themselves.
Are you happy with how Treyarch has responded to all the criticism?
Yes, I have. They've. I feels like they've actually read through all the criticism, especially Kingman's very long tweets. Keep it up, sir.
Yeah, of course.
And they've actually they've added it to the game and have made it to me a much more better experience. Like when I've been playing Grief recently. I actually do enjoy playing it and not feel like I'm just gonna get melee spam the entire time, or there's just gonna be power kegs and ether shrouds coming out of the wazoo every 3 seconds and healing auras. So the gameplay is a much better. They just need to add a bit more. They just need to add a bit more to the experience. And I know it's coming in a bit late in BO6's life cycle, especially with the context now that BO7 is going to be coming out very soon. Maybe this was more of a test run for them, putting in BO6, updating it now, and then those changes will apply to BO7. I would, again, with it coming back to Jerfy content, Grief better be in BO7 at launch. When I play that game, there better be an option for Grief, or I'll be very upset. But I think it's in a good place. They just need to add private matches as well. But yeah, I think Grief's going in a good direction, but they are running out of time when it comes to this game. So we'll see how much is actually added to it.
That is a good note to make, because Grief came out a month ago, and within a couple months we'll have a new game, and people won't be playing BO6. And it is, I believe, if it is a test run, then us as the consumer have to be hypercritical. Like, exactly, you mentioned keep it up, Kingman. I completely agree. I would rather be hypercritical and nitpicky just so my voice is heard with those feelings, and then the developers therefore can take that and pick between it to what they actually want to change. Because if we're just going to sit and be quiet and just be like, okay, it's not great, but I don't really care to give my feedback, nothing really will change. Like, it's very clear that Grief at least isn't just for BO6. I hope, as you say, it's going to be on BO7's launch. And if it is, the state that with our criticism that we've given, it should be elevated. It should be a much better experience. And we're all for improving the experience. So, like, my call to anyone watching this, be very critical of anything you play. Like, anything like Grief, any test thing, anything you think is just, like, unfinished, be critical. So that when they re-release it, because they will re-release it, because drip feed content, they'll make it better. And, I have a big list in front of me of everything Kingman has said, like potential bans. If it was to become like a competitive event, you could maybe do ban listing, just get rid of certain things, restrict the mode. It could be a staple of the community again. Like, BO2 Grief has this legacy of being great because it was so bare bones and it was just fight. It was like an arena. But BO6 could be like an actual, like, skillful and, test your mic kind of thing, which I would love for that to always be in the game and to always exist. And more of that would be very welcome by me.
I feel like that you bring up a good point. It's a more of an arena. I feel like BO2 Grief's like a backyard dogfight. Yeah. And then Grief, I think BO6, BO7 Grief should be like, we're in like a big arena and stadium. Yeah, and there's 20,000 people watching us.
Yes,
right,
yes,
exactly.
Yes. We're trained to be here. We are better. We're gonna go head to head, and we win big. We want to win.
Right.
We could maybe win calling cards, like you say. There's that Dark Ops challenge of winning a certain amount of times, win XP, loads of stuff. You can go anywhere. Like Grief, this should not be the end of Grief's life. Like if BO7 there's no Grief, this would be such a missed opportunity. I wouldn't even know what to say.
Scotty, are you gonna become a Grief goat and get 115 wins in Grief?
Oh, if I had like an actual motivation to do it, yeah. I don't have a motivation to do it. Maybe with BO7 on launch, me and you could maybe team up with maybe Kingman and a few other people, and
I'm down.
We could roll the lobbies. I would love a leaderboard, a big leaderboard. Oh, I know. For the wins, who has the most wins, who has the best like downs to kills ratio, who has the best challenge completions. You know what I mean? How many gobblegums do you pop around just to see who's paying to cheat?
Who's putting down $11 each hit?
Yeah, literally. But I'm hopeful. I think with everything we've suggested, they've addressed most of it, and the changes already have elevated the game mode. It can only go up. That's how I feel, and that's maybe how I feel about BO7 as well. Only up from here.